afternoon, everyone. So I was surprisingly wrong about this. The GM, yes, laughs on the shadow. Yes. Uh, oh boy. Uh, yeah, I was totally wrong. I didn't think there was going to be any charges. I thought this was going to be kind of a political snow job and that this DA wasn't going to want to deal with it. I also thought their massive evidence dump a couple of months ago, and I know we covered that, and I think I covered a couple things with Runkle and other things that were going on that nothing was going to happen because, well, why would you give up the whole store? Well, yeah, I guess I was wrong on that one. Oh boy. Not too much crud to eat today, though. Amateur iconoclast, you were first. You should always get credit for being first. So what if you ain't first, you last. So howdy, y'all. Thanks for being here. Just Cause, GM, 4M, Carlos. Juan Constantine says, how's Baldwin going to shoot his way out of this one? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, pull it. Well, anyways, I just started blasting. But we will see. There's a lot to go. There's this he hasn't even been charged yet, guys. That we haven't even started the marathon yet of the criminal process. We've just been told kind of like a strip alert, like a warning notice, a warning order. Get ready, we are going to do this. Is this the same judicial district as the Dean Cummings case? No, I don't think so. That's a different one. Mimi says YouTube sucks. It didn't send a notification, but saw you on live on Twitter. Well, thank you. I'm glad you saw it. Baldwin should Ninja Bread Man saying Baldwin should use his Tibetan powers. Yeah. So, guys, what we know for now is that Alec Baldwin and Hannah Reid are going to be charged both with 2 counts of manslaughter. Rare daytime stream. Yeah, well, this is kind of a big deal, and I don't know if anybody else has covered it yet, but I think it should be addressed. And I know tonight, once more comes out, and I've had a little more time to prepare, like, I literally was driving home from court when I saw this, so it worked out perfectly, but gonna need a little more time to get ready for tonight, because this certainly will be eating up a lot of our, this will be a big portion of tonight. So Hannah Reid and both Alec Baldwin were charged with involuntary manslaughter. David Halls, the director who handed the gun to Baldwin, has agreed to plea out to negligent use of a firearm, which sounds like it's a far lesser offense. Now, what does this mean? Like, what's going to happen from here? Well, he's going to get arraigned. He's going to be charged. He hasn't happened yet, but he will be. I don't see them changing their mind on that. And what is important, and I think this is interesting, is the district attorney didn't do like an official press release, but word has gotten out. And through the Twitter account, we do know that there is a way this is being charged. Oh, Amica cream. Oh, Amica cream, I don't think you can't fix the damage done here. Oh. Base Sean looking at his phone while driving. No, to be fair, I was in Cleveland Heights Municipal Court this morning wrapping things up when I saw, actually on a different Discord, somebody had mentioned a Fox News pop-up that this was happening. So I started searching. So I was set for trial this morning. We actually ended up resolving it we ended up resolving it fair way for my guy. He had to forfeit a gun, but he got a really smoking deal out of it. So that'll be good. No pants baby says Sean doesn't look at the road looks at Sean. Yes. The abyss stares into me. That's what you need to know. I don't look into the abyss. Byfron's saying, will he be arrested? No, he's going to be summoned. They're not going to put out a nationwide arrest warrant for this guy. Why? Because you don't. Yes, there are political prosecutions and there are asshole prosecutions, much like with Roger Stone or some of the January 6 people. Sure. But in this case, no, he's going to get a summons. He'll be served. They might allow a virtual arraignment. Alec Baldwin's not a flight risk. It's not like he can go anywhere. These studios won't interact with him. He's a felon. Although, to be fair, Roman Polanski is still on the run in Switzerland, and he gets money, and the Academy of Motion Pictures loves him. So maybe I'm wrong. So, Paul Carroll. I generally wonder whether Baldwin would accept a no jail plea time bargain on this one if the sentence is only 18 months. I doubt Baldwin would see a day in jail even without a plea. You're likely right, but Paul, I know you are I know you're a prosecutor. Yeah, I know where you work. It's remember, it's always up to the judge. I don't even think in New Mexico they can necessarily bind the judge's hands like that. So, I mean, yes, would I bet the money I got in my wallet right now that he would walk out of there on probation of some sort? Sure, or community control, whatever they call it in New Mexico. Yeah. Um, I mean, at worst, maybe one day of jail time as a symbolic gesture, but that would be it. I don't see him going to jail. But now let's say we go to trial. Remember, a big thing is, and I explain this to my clients, when you go to trial, you always run the risk of the judge. Now, this judge would have likely seen all this evidence, but there might be things we haven't seen yet. The prosecutor may have kept a couple things close to the vest. When you go to trial, you run the risk of the judge seeing how big of an asshole you are. And I use the example of one time I was representing a guy. He had gotten caught going into a gas station with a shotgun, pointing it at everybody, and he hit somebody with it in the process of robbing it. Now, he wanted to go to trial, and I said, the judge is going to see you do all that, and the judge is going to send you to prison forever. We entered a plea, and yes, the prosecutor said he came in with a shotgun and threatened people. Me telling you that, or the prosecutor telling the judge that, that's not as bad. When you're actually on camera with your shotgun, like, get on the ground, I'm going to fucking kill you, which is what he said, and taking a shotgun to, like, bam, right into somebody's face, those are not good things. But when you say things, you can really soften it. So we'll see. He might go to trial. He might go to jail. He might go to prison if the judge sees his actions and say, "Wow, Baldwin, you are a dickhead and a half." Famous last words. Yeah, famous last words. But I'm just guessing, trying to make an educated guess here. So, Paul, you're saying I could see Reed and Baldwin throwing each other in a fleet of buses. 100% that's going to happen. Now, the one thing I want to bring up, and I was getting onto this, got a little sidetracked here, is what happened with. Also, guys, give me a like. Hit the like button. That'll really push me out there now. I know a lot of you guys are the normals. I appreciate you guys all being here, but that will push us out into more on YouTube so we can get some more things going there. Mary Carmack Altweez, I think that's how you say her name. She did say Baldwin and Gutierrez will be charged in the alternative with 2 counts of manslaughter each. Now, that's not abnormal. You can do that. Why is that an issue? Well, there are 2 manslaughter statutes. There's an A and a B. And meaning a jury can decide not only if they're guilty, but under which definition of involuntary manslaughter they were guilty of. And there are 2 different versions of involuntary manslaughter in the state of New Mexico, or Nuevo Mexico. Is it Mexico Nuevo? I don't know. Now, my Espanolish is not very good. Not very bueno. So, involuntary manslaughter is the unlawful killing of a human being without malice. All right, cool. So, involuntary manslaughter part A. It consists of manslaughter committed on a sudden quarrel or in the heat of passion. Now, I know we've been talking about that. Was this Alec Baldwin getting frustrated with the actor, frustrated with the director saying, you guys are pissing me off and I'll show you. And how do you like bam? And like, uh-oh, I guess it was real. We don't know. Oh, it is Nuevo Mexico. Okay, there we go. Joshua C., first time we gave the like. Thank you, man. I appreciate that very, very much. We don't know. I would chalk that up to we don't know the full story. And certainly Alec Baldwin's bumbling way of trying to make statements as he hasn't helped here. The other option for involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico is under Part B. And I'm going to make sure I have this all set for tonight. Involuntary manslaughter consists of manslaughter committed in the commission of an unlawful act, not amounting to a felony, or in the commission of a lawful act, which might produce death in an unlawful manner, or without due caution and circumspection. So this is the second one here, and this is where, they might get him. It's going to be the idea, hey, why are you running around with a gun? Obviously, because it's my job. Okay. Well, why are you pointing at people? Well, because I'm supposed to. Well, don't you agree it's dangerous? Well, he's going to have to say yes, because if you don't, well, nobody's going to believe you because you sound like a moron. Although if you're Alec Baldwin, you are a moron. So that's without the due cause and circumspection. That might get him. Woody is saying, poor Hannah, she blabbed a lot before lawyering up. Woody, you mean on the same page? They both blabbed a lot before lawyering up. They both talked. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Don't talk to the police. Shut the fuck up. More importantly, if nobody talks, we're really gonna get serious about this right now. Okay? If nobody talks, everybody walks. You don't have to talk. Okay? Nobody talks, everybody walks. Think about how different things would be right now if Hannah Reid hadn't talked to the cops. Think about that. If she hadn't talked to the cops at all, if Alec Baldwin hadn't talked to the cops at all, they both had just shut up, waited for an attorney. I don't think we'd be anywhere right now. In addition to that, if Hannah Reid hadn't, given out a couple of statements, but especially Alec Baldwin, why did you give out that statement to ABC News? We talked about it before. You cannot talk to the press. If he hadn't done all that, I think we wouldn't be facing these. Clumsy Clairvoyant says for $2. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate it. Hello, Sean and fellow randos. Yes. Ninja Man is correct. The cops are not your friends. They're there to determine A, if a crime was committed, then B, who did it. That's all they care about. Mr. Squiggle says, don't even talk to yourself. The feds are listening. Yes. Yes, they're listening through your fillings. Yep, he talked to Stephanopoulos, and I covered that way back. He cannot talk to the press because it's all out there. You can't say that's not me. Everything he said in that statement is 100% admissible. So I just, not a good job, Alec. Not a good job. So now that we know all of that, David Halls, I just want to go make sure we cover that real quick. Yeah, with the involuntary manslaughter charge, one part of it could be up to 18 months in jail and a $5,000 fine. The other side, from what I understand, if there's a firearm enhancement attached, he could face up to 5 years in prison. And obviously, he committed manslaughter with a firearm. So there you go. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all right there. Mema. Oh, by the way, Mema, I got your contact. I need to figure out what's going on there. I appreciate you getting a hold of me, though. He couldn't resist doing interviews. All publicity is good publicity. Yes, except when you're when you're possibly looking at an indictment, then no news is all quiet on the Western Front's the way to go. So I have a feeling he was being guided by his PR team and his agent, not by a defense attorney. So, and if you guys don't, and you guys haven't seen it, I do have it still. Where is it? Yes, we've got and the shooting itself. We don't have the exact moment he pulled the firearm, but we do have the lead up to it. And I don't know if everybody here has seen it because I know there's some new people around. I know it's been a little while. Um, Ashby says, "Why is it taking so long to charge him?" I think honestly, the prosecutor was taking her time. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot to think about. I mean, this isn't, this isn't like a serial killer type of situation, but this is a very delicate, it needs to be handled appropriately. You have to take your time, making sure you have everything. Part of the other issue was Alec Baldwin hadn't given up his cell phone for a long time. And certainly they hoovered all the information off that. I'm sure she's consulted with other legal minds and other people trying to get a feel for, do they think this is, is there a probable cause? And do they think they can get to a conviction? Because by the rules of professional conduct, she should have a good faith belief she can get a conviction here. And at the very least, she meets the probable cause standard. She has to. So there's a lot going on. This is, I mean, the Darrell Brooks trial, he had all those 3 boxes full of files. The boxes of files and information for this case is going to be massive. And it's a lot to go through. And I would rather she take her time and do it right than right off the bat say, I'm charging him, or right off the bat saying I'm not charging him. Because both of those are irresponsible. So I'd rather she take that time. And it's a, if it's a homicide issue, there's a statute of limitations, but it's generally long enough to work it out. Toasted Foolery says $5,000. Geez, he's going to be living on the streets. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. How's he gonna afford that? Now, I did want to show this so you guys can see it if you guys haven't seen it before. It is interesting. There is no sound to this, but this is some of the quick draws he was doing right before this happened. Like literally within a couple of minutes, if not a minute or so. This was footage that was taken. So this is what he was doing. Now, it doesn't help that he's bumbling with a gun. He's doing a cross draw, but he doesn't have it ready. And you can see he's got his finger in the trigger guard, and it looks like he might have been messing with a hammer. So we don't know. It doesn't look good. I mean, because for the longest time he said, well, my finger wasn't on the trigger, my finger wasn't on the hammer. Well, clearly that's a lie. We know that. We know the FBI tested these things, and I covered this with Runkle a couple of months ago. They destroyed the firearm trying to prove that he was correct. And no, the firearm would not fire without the trigger being depressed. And that they physically destroyed it trying to make it go off on its own, and it did not. Somebody's saying, "Oh, a Glock check." No, we can't do Glock check on camera. Not live. By front saying it looks like Red Dead. Yeah, crappier version of Red Dead. He's no Dutch. But yes, he's playing with it and the camera. Now, that's not the camera getting shot. That's just them tilting it away and moving it. But this is him doing it again, and I'll play it one more time. So that is the act itself within minutes of it happening. Sneed is saying he's probably going to be fine. I think so too at the end of the day. Germs is saying I sort of expected him to look down the barrel. No, that would have been bad. Alpha Fox saying, could I outdraw him? I bet a lot of people could outdraw him. I mean, he doesn't look like he's holding the gun right, so I don't think that would be an issue. Now, a couple people have asked me, and I did Mr. Squiggles saying, didn't he apologize? And he hasn't really apologized. He's like, I'm sorry this happened. And then there's the whole issue about her Halyna Hutchins' husband. And I know they cover this on America's Untold Stories of Mark Gruber and Eric Hunley, that there was some issue about the husband who's an attorney getting brought in as like an executive producer and getting involved in a cut of the movie, which they went back and they reshot because they're going to release it. And I'm not going to lie, I bet this movie's awful, but out of macabre curiosity, I'm certainly going to watch it when it gets released. um, Alpha Fox saying, who wins in this progressive stack? The bitchy queen. Is Alec the bitchy queen? I'm not sure who you're referring to, or the female firearm handler. Yeah, I'm not really sure. And yeah, D Dila's right. He basically said, "I'm sorry, she was in the way." You know, why did she have to? Why did she catch my bullet with her chest? That's her fault. Mr. Casey, yeah, I can't wait to sail the seven seas, sail the high seas when the movie comes out. Oh, so I was asked this question by somebody on Discord, and they said, "Are they going to try? Are they going to try Hannah Reid and Alec Baldwin together at the same time? Because they are co-defendants. Pretty much they're involved in the same pattern, and I don't believe they will be able to. There's Supreme Court case law, and it's one of the first ones in this is Bruton v. United States, and it becomes an issue that if one co-defendant's going to accuse the other of crimes, well, remember, if Hannah accuses Alec and she gets up on the stand and says Alec did it, Alec Baldwin has a right to remain silent. There's a confrontation clause issue. There are problems with being able to cross-examine and confront witnesses when you've got two co-defendants going at it with each other. So when the issue's likely to happen, which it's certainly going to happen here, they're going to have to probably have separate trials, and they should have separate trials. I would not want to try these two together. That would turn into a mess. If I was prosecuting this, I certainly wouldn't want it. Now, a theory I don't know if the defense is or the prosecutor is going to bring up is Alec Baldwin also being charged as his capacity as the executive producer on Rust, who said, we're not paying for all these costs, cutting costs, making Hannah Reid go do other stuff, making the unsafe environment. Now that certainly can be done, but I think I know her main focus is on he's the guy who pulled the trigger and should have made sure the gun was empty. But I wonder if that's going to come in as well on his responsibility. Oh, hold on here. Oh, crud. I deleted the wrong thing here. Hold on, guys. What the hell? Where did it go? Where did it go? What do I do with it? I hate this thing sometimes. So I did want to say, because it didn't show up, Merms gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Merms. It's weird because it doesn't show up in the StreamYard, only on live chat. But thank you very much. I know those out there who got them certainly are going to be appreciative. Somebody Boomer uses StreamYard. Well, yeah, for right now, because I finally got it down right. But we'll maybe I'll move on to some other stuff. It just means I don't have a sound deck together, so I'm not gonna use another platform. Alpha Fox saying, yeah, criminal procedure, going back to Bruton, that is a case you learn in law school, yes. So I don't see them being tried together. They're gonna throw each other under the bus. And they're gonna have tough times. Even Hannah Reid's gonna have a tough time saying, I was being forced to go do other stuff, because the prosecutor saying, well, you could have said no. You're the armor. Safety stops you. And you know what's going to happen? They are going to bring in armorers. They're going to bring in people who are experts in that field. And they're going to say, your first and foremost job as an armorer is safety and accountability of the weapons. And if you can't do that, you're done. So I see that happening. And they're going to point out Hannah should have said no. Hannah should have dug her feet in. No mandate says abolish the NFA. Hey, there's never a wrong time to say that. It's always appropriate. But she's going to have a very rough time with this stuff. So even for her, it's not a safe way out. And for a jury in New Mexico, even though New Mexico is a blue state and that Santa Fe area is going to be blue, they are people who are, it's gun culture area. It's not like Orange County. They're going to say, well, you shouldn't have been screwing around and, oh my God, there were live rounds stuck with all this. I didn't know that. Yet we clearly know she took those guns out and the crew were doing live firearm shooting with live ammo on set, and screwing around out back. Remember, she shouldn't have been doing any of that, period. And had she done her duties and had she done the right things, none of this would have happened. Not having live ammunition within 10 miles of that place. But her own voluntary actions introduced live ammunition into the mix. Now, she might be able to say, well, it was live ammo. This guy who made all the ammo and the duds, he screwed up. Yeah, you might be able to play that off, but not when you do what she's done so far. I think she will have a lot of problems. So where was this one I wanted to... Kimbo Nice is saying, you're nobody in Hollywood until Alec Baldwin kills you. Is that the new casting couch? If that is, I don't necessarily know I want that one. Oh, Peter's saying, no, Alec doesn't go free just because Hannah's also guilty. It all depends. Because they're gonna be casting blame onto each other. Do I think he's responsible? Yes. But his attorneys might be able to push all the blame off onto Hannah. And if they can, then yeah, he gets away with it. So it really is going to depend. It's we'll have to see. We'll have to see. M2 is saying this may be the best day of 2023. Look, I know Alec Baldwin's an asshole. Nobody likes him. He's Alec Baldwin at the end of the day. Remember, though, you have to look at this, and I bring it up all the time. Is this a wise use of judicial resources? Is this something we want to see being pursued in the criminal realm? Maybe we do. Maybe I don't know yet. So it's something to think about. There's a civil suit going that got settled. There's other civil suits being filed. Is that the proper way to handle this? Or is the proper way having somebody risk going to prison over it and getting a felony charge? It's something you guys have to think about. So I'm always just saying, be careful about how giddy you are to see somebody getting charged, especially in these kind of edge cases. Because that's something I don't think you should be giddy about or happy to see. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Yeah, I get that. But this isn't clear. This is not 100%. This isn't a slam dunk either way. This one's dangerous because it easily could go both ways. So, for Alec Baldwin, certainly, if he's got good counsel, they're not sitting there telling him, oh, we got this in the bag, because this is far from over. And the prosecution, this is far from in the bag for them. This one's going to be hard fought. Andrew Wordness says, so if the armorer tells an actor it's safe to discharge a weapon, that's not negligence on the actor's part. Well, the armorer didn't say it was good. If you remember right, Hannah Reed had all the guns on a cart, and then they all went to lunch, and then she wasn't allowed in the building, and the assistant director came out and grabbed the gun and gave it to Baldwin. So there's a couple breaks in that chain where he wasn't necessarily told by the armorer, and that's why David Halls got charged and he pled out to something else. And I will caution you guys, do not go into the New Mexico judicial districts and look for Alec Baldwin. Charges haven't been filed, but there are a couple of Alec Baldwins in New Mexico that have kind of crappy records and do some kind of driving under suspensions, looks like maybe domestic violence. That's not our Alec Baldwin, okay? Don't look it up like that. And Thomas, you're right. He gave the order to cut costs. And I think that's something that maybe ultimately held against him and that might come in. It's not going to be the smoking gun. I mean, although we literally had a smoking gun, to be fair, but that certainly could come in. So, Mr. Cage is saying, I'm sick of these celebs getting away with this shit. If there's anybody else, they would go to prison. Maybe. I mean, there are cases of accidental shootings where nobody goes to prison. A lot of times you see like at hunting where family members kill each other. Nobody goes to prison. It does happen sometimes, but not all the time. But yes, the odds of us would be significantly higher. So, and Catnip Dave, yeah, like I said, the odds would be higher for me and you to go to prison, but I don't think super like that much higher. So, let me see here. Where are you guys? Sorry, this kind of scrolled around. Paul is saying, I might be biased, but it's clear those no good defense attorneys causing all the problems. Hey, you know, just like Omar says in The Wire, man, you know, he got the shotgun, I got the briefcase. That's how I do work. Danielle says we almost lost Jensen Ackles. Yeah, that's the interesting part. They were all this nonsense was going on, and Jensen Ackles almost got zapped. Thank God he didn't. So, and certainly he's going to be a witness. That movie cast, the staff, all those people are going to be witnesses of some sort or another. Paul Harley saying the AD's plea deal looks very favorable. Sure. Well, there is something to be said when you end up plea out. Certainly, part of that plea agreement is going to be he has to fully cooperate with the prosecution should he be necessary in the trial for Hannah Reed or Baldwin, and he's going to have to testify and cooperate. And maybe he will. Maybe he might be called in. Maybe he won't. We'll see. Did we confirm the weapon was it was not an original Stormcrow? You're saying it wasn't an original Colt single action. It was a Pieta. It was an Italian replica. And for those of you guys wondering, why are they using an Italian model of a cowboy gun? In Italy, they loved spaghetti westerns, and that's where the term came from. That's where like the good, the bad, and the ugly, all those things were done. Well, in Europe, they also, given how things went in World War II and just the nature of their governments, owning typical modern firearms has been restricted heavily. Well, you can use cowboy guns and cowboy shooting, and that's actually cowboy action shooting is big in Europe. You lever action weapons, Colt single action cowboy guns. They're actually very big. Italian companies make tons of them, and then they sell them here in America. And they are reproductions of them, and they're actually pretty good quality. Charlie says, "Don't pretend to be one of us, Sean. You're a YouTube and Pornhub star." Well, if I was on Pornhub star, I hope I'd be making a lot more money. Just saying. Just Cause says, "Yeah, Dick Cheney hunting." Yes. Don't go hunting with Dick Cheney. Uncle Bubba says, "Why not involuntary manslaughter?" I just think there are a ton of breaks in the chain of liability. That it becomes an issue. Now, I'm not going to say the industry standards alone should shield Baldwin, but at some point, if he was doing what he was supposed to do and it was all in accordance, uh, I, I just I don't know if this is the proper way to address this. Through civil suits, I think is the proper way to address this one. I just don't know. I just don't think this is manslaughter. Now, like I said, if it turns out he, in the heat of the moment, he's like, fucking Halyna, fucking Dave, all these underlings, I'm Alec Baldwin. You guys don't understand who I am. I can do whatever I boom. And did it like that. Okay. But I don't think that was the case. He was playing with the gun, cocking it, and accidentally shot it. So I think that's where he falls into the second tier of involuntary manslaughter. It was a lawful act. Okay. But is a jury going to want to convict him of that? I don't know if they will. Joshua says, "Oops, my gun killed your spouse" card collection by Hallmark. Oh, Kimbo Nice is saying, "I see Alec Baldwin trying to pull a Ron Jeremy to get the trial delayed." We'll talk about Ron Jeremy. I mean, he's probably had some syphilis frying his brain for a while, so I'm betting he's got some issues. Pope Racket's saying, "So if they're convicted of these crimes, even if they get a slap on the wrist, can they no longer do movies with firearms? Operable firearms, but they can play with fake guns. If you become a felon, you can touch a toy gun, and they can CGI in the flashes. There's also what's called a non-gun that's typically used in Hollywood now. And let me actually bring up a picture of that. Let me see here. So it's I'm trying to find a picture of one, but they're called non-guns. It looks like a gun, but on the front of it, there are a bunch of little wires and two things, and they each have a little flash in there. And each time you pull the trigger, you complete the circuit and it goes flash, flash, flash. So if you ever see any videos or movies or shows where the gun's flat, like there's a muzzle flash, but the gun doesn't cycle, that's usually what's called a non-gun because they're not regulated like firearms. You can be willy-nilly with them. And certainly that'd be something Alec Baldwin could handle himself. So, oh, spaghetti westerns. Yeah, I'm sorry. They were shot in Spain. Yes. But they were using Italian actors, and yes, Sergio Leone was one of the primary ones. Yeah, I forgot about that. And yes, the Spanish government was very conducive to filming. They were super cool about everything. They even filmed Conan in Spain. Uncle Bubba saying, "Stick with YouTube." Alpha Fox says, "I'll load your streams to the hub." Oh, so Darcy says, speaking around Jeremy doesn't his lawyers. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that tonight because that'll be going on. Isn't the Baldwin special prosecutor a Republican? She's now a New Mexico State Congress representative in the House. Well, actually, right now, the Santa Fe District Attorney is in charge of it. So, and she's not. She's not a Republican. She's a Democrat, and she's handling stuff for right now. So, Fair Frozen says, "Also, do felons lose the right to go out of the country?" It's not that you lose the right to go out of the country; it's that many countries do not allow you entry. Now, Alec Baldwin's probably like, if he were to be convicted, even as a felon, they probably would work something out that if he showed up other places, they'd be like, "Yeah, you're cool." But it's generally your travel outside of the US is restricted. For example, it doesn't have to be a felony. For example, in Canada, if you get a DUI here in America, in Canada, that's considered a felony. So if you get a DUI and you're going to Canada the week afterwards, they can refuse you at the border because that's a serious crime there. Now, and that's an issue for people who've gotten DUIs in their past, but usually after a while, it's not a big deal. But it all depends where you live and where you're trying to go. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Special Prosecutor Andrea Reed. I remember the name now. Yeah, I think. Yeah, where is she at? Yeah, she's a state representative in New Mexico. In the 64th district. So, she worked in the 9th Judicial District, but for right now, she is assuming the office. So, I think the DA is probably going to handle it going forward. Peter's saying, I think she recused herself. Yeah, but if she announced that this was going to happen, then if she was recused, she shouldn't have been making the announcements. So we will find out. Josh Wood, we'll talk about Steven Crowder tonight too, because I thought that was ridiculous what happened to him. Oh, let's see here. Gabby, how are you doing tonight? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's where we are with things. It's going to be very interesting how this plays out. I don't know. Oh, who sent me stuff? Sent me links. And somebody's asking, is there any chance this trial? Oh, somebody in Discord actually asked this. Any chance this trial happens this year? It could. I mean, we're only in January, so that's the investigation's been going on for a long time. I could see it happening this year, but more likely 2024. I mean, there's going to be a lot of pre-trials. There's going to be a lot of pre-trials. There's going to be a lot of motion practice challenging whether or not the law is appropriate and the laws can apply here. So I see a lot of I see a lot of problems with them trying to get this done this year. But it could happen, maybe. I just wouldn't bet on it unless his attorneys say, like, well, fuck it, we'll do it live. Uh so I'd have to guess. Stormcrow says, "Do you have any pasta blasters?" No, I do not. Well, actually, I do. I got a Pieta. I have a Pedersoli 36 caliber, one of the smaller police ones. It's a lot of fun. So, Bubba's saying it may not even go to trial. You're right. It might get dismissed. There might be a plea deal. Anything possible. Anything is possible. Anything is totally possible. Pope Brackets is saying, I don't understand why they haven't created a fake gun with recoil or use an airsoft blowback gun. Because it's not the real thing. You still can't beat the real deal. One, and that's some of this stuff turns into a cost issue of getting some of these other things in line. And airsoft guns may not be durable enough to handle it. And the armors may not like how they work. Alec Baldwin, like you said, he might want the real deal. He doesn't want the toys. He wants the real stuff. Salty Balls, yeah, just send me that email. No worries. Sweet Tooth is saying, I think he'll plea. I don't think he will. I think he'll take his chances at trial. I don't think he goes to prison out of this. He's not going to the New Mexico State Penitentiary, which would be hilarious because it's not exactly Beaver Cleaverville, but I think Salty, it should be in the hold on. My email address should be if you click on the show more, keep scrolling down. There's an email contact down there, potentiallycriminal@gmail.com. So just keep scrolling down on the show more part. You'll see a contact thing down there. GM saying, yeah, imagine like the shootout from Heat, but with fake guns. Yeah. Or like South Park talks about using walkie talkies. He is Plexity saying he's arrogant. He won't plea. I don't even think that he's arrogant. It's just if I'm his attorney saying you have the right to go in there and you have a very triable case arguing your actions were not criminal. Yes, what happened is horrible, but under the laws of the state of New Mexico, you did not commit a criminal act. And I've had to make that argument before in court. It's not that he didn't do it; it's just that what he did is not applicable under state law. So that's a very standard defense. Swagon saying about the Dumpster Bros trial not being allowed to be televised. Yeah, it does not sound like it's being filmed or allowed to be filmed. I think the court denied that. I'll actually pull it up since we're here because ultimately it is the court's decision. They have the full discretion to do all of that. Online case. Let's see here. What the heck? But yes, it does not sound like it's going to happen, which is a bummer. But I think that's always a risk you have to be prepared for. I know the Murtaugh one is going to be um I know the one in the Murdaugh one's going to be covered. Um Taylor County court record. Sorry, yeah, that's what I was looking for. The Murdaugh one's going to be covered. I know how things shake out. I probably will be covering that since Sarah Boone decided to punt for a little while and I have nothing to do that week, so you best bet we're doing something. I'm certainly not just going to sit here and stare at the screen. I won't want you guys to do that either. Okay. Oh, we need to open. There's too many Millers. Also, I didn't mention this before. By the end of the month, he's going to get charged. It's not happening right now. State's notice. Yeah, there's no update. Yeah, this is hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll try to see what happens going forward. Maybe a news agency will get it at the last minute, but I doubt it. You guys are just trying along here. Some good questions. Oh, you guys are worried about Crowder. Like I said, we'll talk about him tonight. Darcy said Nick said he might file a media request for the dumpster one. Well, if that starts next week, he better get on it because it's not quick. So let's see. Gabby said jury selection begins Monday for Murdaugh. I know, and I'm working next week, and it's the week of the 30th where I'm finally done. So hopefully it's still going by that point. Otherwise, we'll find some trial somewhere. It just might not be as cool as the ones we were looking for. Well, guys, that's really it for me today. If you guys are new, I do a Thursday night show, and today being Thursday, we'll be doing it tonight, 9:30. We'll be covering this a little more in depth. I think some more information will come out about what's going on with Alec Baldwin, Alec Baldwin, if you're a Team America fan, and what's going to happen and what we might be looking at. Certainly, we'll probably touch on what's going on with Steven Crowder. That's certainly a little interesting. What is also going on with Ron Jeremy? I know that's a big development as well. And that is really it for this. So if you've been here, if you've liked, subscribed, shared it, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everything you guys do to feed the algorithm always helps. And once again, guys, I said it again, 9:30 tonight. We'll be going over things a little more in depth. Uh, so that's it for me today. And I will say until tonight, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. And that truly means Alec Baldwin, because I don't think he's guilty. I mean, guilty being an asshole, yes. And a horrible human, yes. I don't think he's guilty of manslaughter. So Sleazy. Oh, just saying I just got here. I'm sorry, Sleazy, but if you watch a double speed, it's only 25 minutes long. So thanks for popping in. And Salty Balls, he's guilty of being, yes, he is. So have a great day, everybody. Bye now.